It's now time for the Mo Kelly Report.
So, the president recently had an MRI and some sort of follow-up cognitive test. And at the risk of stating the obvious, I'm not a doctor or any type of physician, but there are some facts that we can glean from this publicly available information. We know for a fact that the president has already had his annual physical back in April. Any procedure, any test, any exam between now and next April is in addition to that and outside the parameters of any normal checkup. We should be able to agree on that. I have this axiom that goes something like this: get the easy ones right. We can fight and debate about the more complex issues. We can go back and forth on the underlying issues of the government shutdown and how the tariffs may or may not impact the American economy. But this is not one of those discussions. Get the easy ones right. If you're going in for an MRI, it is for a specific and precipitating issue. Something has either happened, like a fall, or something is amiss with an organ or set of organs, not excluding the brain. That's what MRIs are for. They aren't normally conducted as part of a routine physical, and they aren't conducted without a specific reason or concern. They aren't for a general health overview like a Star Trek tricorder. Something was the basis for the MRI, which is by definition a serious test. We should be able to agree on that. We should also agree that nobody is progressively more healthy as they age. Nobody who admittedly does not exercise, admittedly does not maintain a healthy diet, and does work in a high-stress job at the age of 79, like the presidency, gets progressively more healthy. Nobody does. Not even Jack LaLanne, if you remember him. He didn't get progressively more healthy as he got older. Not you, not me. We should be able to agree on that. Here's another one we should be able to get right in this assessment of the true health of President Trump. Cognitive tests, especially outside that of a routine physical, are only given when there is a legitimate concern. We know Trump was given some sort of cognitive exam back in April, and he never misses an opportunity to let us know and how well he aced it. But he was given another one much more recently. It could be one reason. It could be a number of reasons, but it's definitely for a reason. The swollen ankles are not signs of optimal health. Can we agree on that? They are most likely evidence of struggling kidneys, maybe a struggling heart as well. We should be able to agree on that. The question that most people ask, or at least the question that I most often hear, is why does the Trump administration lie about the health of the president, or does not give complete truth surrounding it? And it's a great question. It's a fair question. And I will tell you the answer. And the answer is true of not only Donald Trump, but it applies to Joe Biden. It applied to George H.W. Bush, George W. Bush, and even Ronald Reagan. There are specific instances in which I can point to. Here's what I mean. The president's health, first and foremost, is a national security issue. To publicly acknowledge the failing health of the leader of the free world would send the economic markets into disarray. It would embolden our adversaries and their military objectives. It would strain our relationships with allies, as an unstable U.S. government makes for an unstable Western alliance. You will never know when an American president, a sitting president, even has a peanut allergy. Not while he's in office, at least. The president could drop dead seemingly out of nowhere. And I'm not being funny. He could drop dead seemingly out of nowhere. But you and me, the general public, the world community, will not be given any heads up or any indications leading up to it. There are plenty things to raise hell about regarding the Trump administration, but lying about his health is not one of them. Do not get me wrong. Trying to sell us that President Trump's health is perfect or he is in the best health ever or any, president in history is silly and unbelievable. But in terms of getting the actual truth about the president's heart and kidney function, cognitive decline, if any, that won't be divulged until he's well out of office or dies while in office. I understand it, and actually I agree with it, and I did not stutter. For example, talking about you and me, the general public, we did not know how close to death Ronald Reagan was due to the assassination attempt. We didn't know till well after the fact that he almost died on the operating table. We didn't know how close to death Trump was due to COVID until well after he left office for his first term. Remember that? We didn't know about Biden's cancer and the internal concerns about his cognitive slipping until he was out of office. Now, there was rumor, there was conjecture, they were pointing fingers. And I'm not talking about what you and I may have believed. I'm not talking about a debate performance. I'm not talking about the politics of it all. I'm not talking about pointing at the TV and calling whatever administration a liar. I'm saying nothing will be substantiated until the information, i.e. the truth, can no longer hurt America. It's a national security issue. But here is where, and why for that matter, we should be more concerned about Trump's health in the here and now. This anecdotal evidence that I was talking about earlier at the top concerning these multiple cognitive tests and this MRI, which are taking place in year one of this administration, that is cause for concern. If you've ever watched someone decline physically, cognitively, both, it could have been a spouse, it could have been a parent, it could have been a friend. If you've ever watched someone go through that decline, if you've ever watched any elderly person decline, it picks up speed with each passing year. It's not a level pavement, it's a steep downhill. I remember my father following a similar trajectory as he approached death. It snowballs. One fall turns into two, turns into five. More and more simple tasks become difficult or damn near impossible, like opening and closing an umbrella, if you know what I mean. You might have noticed that Trump is not able to walk in a straight line anymore. For whatever reasons, he doesn't have bilateral leg strength. Whether that is due to complications from a stroke or some head injury after a fall, combination of both, brain bleed, I can't tell you. But I can tell you that every 80-year-old is one fall away from being permanently incapacitated. And that is greatly impacted by leg strength or lack thereof. The likelihood of these falls increases with each passing year, hence the change in stairs leading to Air Force One, hence his inability to open/close an umbrella while boarding Air Force One. Leg strength or lack thereof is classically a leading indication of declining health that you and I can see for ourselves. We don't need a doctor to diagnose that. And I mention all this because there will be a point of no return in being unable to no longer obscure the health concerns of this particular president. The only question is whether Trump makes it to the finish line of this term. That's not some conspiracy theory or wish casting. I don't wish any ill will on the president. He is somebody's father, somebody's grandfather, uncle, husband. I'm just talking common sense and the inevitability of decline, which seems to become more and more rapid and readily apparent given his rantings, which are more and more incoherent. I'm talking about the totality of what we can see. That is why I believe all this talk of a prospective presidential third term is complete nonsense. Complete nonsense. The president who takes the next oath won't do so until January 20th of 2029. There are unborn children who will be born and start preschool between now and then. The freshmen in high school and college right now will have graduated by then. Given what we know definitively about the health trajectory of this president, it is not even a good bet he would even be alive in 2029, much less capable of being president. This is 2025. Making it through 2026 isn't even a safe bet. No amount of the best healthcare in the world changes the fact that Trump presumably would be 82 and, if still living, worse off shape then than today. That's just science. No amount of Big Macs, no amount of Diet Cokes or golf carts changes this. And because of this, I believe, and again, this is my belief, I believe this is why Trump is so laser focused on getting as much done now, as in before the midterms, as humanly possible. Do as much as he can. You can call it flood the zone, whatever. I'm just saying he sees the inevitability of his declining health and knows that there is an upper limit as to what he can do now as opposed to a year or 2 years from now, which will not be promised. Because betting that Trump will be president in 2029, your personal political preferences aside, that bet, those constitutional issues aside, that bet is to deny all common sense, to deny all the publicly available information about his health and readily apparent health issues, from speaking to walking to even thinking coherently. Every presidential administration will lie through its ass about the president's health, and mostly for national security reasons, some for political reasons secondarily. But there will come a time in this particular presidency, given we are still in year one, where the reality will be no longer something that can be disguised. And that time, most likely, will be here well before 2029. I'm Mo Kelly, and that's your Mo Kelly Report.